Hello and welcome to this video on my thoughts on consuming the news as a spiritual person. So there was a time when I religiously consumed the news, as in I read the newspaper daily, I read the Times of India first thing in the morning, right in the morning daily. That was how I was. And then came the pandemic, and I started getting more and more into spirituality and spiritual concepts. So there was concepts like keeping a vibration, protecting your energy, having your boundaries. And as I learned that, I realized that when I read the newspaper first thing in the morning, it did lead to a feeling of downness and a feeling of fear and anxiety, because a lot of the publications now make sure that they have headlines that induce fear and anxiety. For example, if you see the Times of India, I think almost every single day there is some news around murder or stabbing. Like, I just checked today's newspaper, Wednesday, 28th of September, and right here on the first page, always, man stabs wife over custody row. Something like that, which will induce fear, kidnapping, murder. So something which generates a lot of fear and anxiety is always there in this news. Let's not even go to TV or people like Arnab Goswami or anyone like that. Their like bread and butter is fear and anxiety. So my point being, the lot of the mainstream news sources do sell fear and anxiety because that is what grabs our attention. So what had happened is that during the time I came across a reel, like my friend sent me, which was like how spiritual people should not watch the news. It is used by the big bad people to keep the normal people small and normal by generating fear and anxiety, and that's their currency and all of that. And I was like, great, awesome. I am done. No more news from me for now on. News is bad, blanket ban. I recently realized what the problem was, that a blanket ban is not the solution. As a person with the privilege of reading about the sufferings of the people of the world and what they are going through from the safety and comfort of my house, and still not using that privilege is pathetic and stupid, is what I realized. It does not keep me or anyone spiritual or high vibe by protecting my energy like that. It is spiritual bypassing, because what the basics of spirituality is that we are all one. The same higher power exists in all of us, and the suffering of one at some level affects all of us, right? So by trying to avoid the news, at some level we're just trying to bypass what the human experience is happening across the world, right? Then there are situations around the world, maybe be the Russia-Ukraine war recently, or the whole protest that is going around, the hijab situation in Iran, where the world attention matters, where your attention matters, where my attention matters. Places where atrocities are being committed by the government or the people in power against normal people, the attention of the people around the world can make or break the situation for the common people. So that's how valuable our attention is. See, if you see these dictatorial governments, first what they resolve is to internet ban, information ban, because they know that if the information is out and our attention, world's attention is on the situation, then it's done for them, it's over for them. So we have a duty, and our attention matters, which is why we need to be aware and informed about what are all the sufferings or the problems that are going on in the world. So these were the two sides of the coin. On one side was these traditional news sources which created a sense of fear and doom, and on the other side is my duty as a citizen of the world to be informed about what are all the problems going on in the world. So the solution that I found was that to avoid news sources which thrive, whose currency is based on fear and anxiety grabbing headlines, and the way the content is written, published, and presented to us. Instead, to take it from sources which are give history, which give context, which give all sides of the story, and give an unbiased view and an honest opinion and a fact based analysis of whatever situation is going on. So here I would like to give a shout out to the YouTube channel by Dhruv Rathi. For example, Dhruv Rathi, in his recent video about the anti-hijab protests in Iran for Mahsini Amini, so he presented all the angles in a factual, research-based way. He mentioned about how whatever outbreaks happen or big outbreaks happen, there is a series of events that happened before it. Like they had multiple social media protests where they burnt hijabs, or they took out their hijabs in public and things like that. And this case where she died in police custody was like breaking the camel's back, right? It was like everyone was like, enough is enough, which is why there are such widespread and deadly protests that are happening there. Or another example would be Beyond News and Palki Sharma on that channel. For example, when the Ukraine-Russia war first broke out, you would be, as a person, like the way the news was presented, you would be like a person is like Putin is, a villain, and Russia is so bad and all of that, right? She brought out the angle and the side about how it's not all Russia is bad, right? As in, there was the NATO agreement, right, which said that the NATO will only go up to these many countries and it will not affect the sovereignty of Russia. But these US guys, the NATO guys, they kept pushing and pushing, and there were multiple warnings that were issued to them, but still they chose to ignore it and kept pushing ahead and ahead. And they reached the border of Russia, which is quite threatening to Russia. War is never the solution. There is no justification for war in that sense. But giving a solution, giving maybe like what you and I can do, what the governments can do, what the people there can do, giving some kind of solution or a conclusion, and giving all the sides of the coin. I think those are the kind of news sources from which we should take our news. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on consuming news and different sources, and how do you, if you are like a very empathetic person and it like maybe killings and something like that, death affects you very deeply, how do you deal with it, how do you work with it? And also some recommendations in terms of websites, Instagram pages where I could consume news in these like well-rounded, unbiased, research-based, solution-oriented ways. These two YouTube channels are which I know of, but if you have any recommendations, please let me know. And yeah, okay, until next time, bye.